Welcome to the Explainer. So, consider this. The average data breach goes undetected for well over 200 days. That's a crazy amount of time, right? Today, we're literally stepping into the shoes of a digital detective. Because, whenever a cyber incident actually occurs, it always leaves behind a trail. A digital crime scene, if you will. And our job? It's to learn exactly how to read that scene. We're going to be drawing our insights directly from Chapter 8 of the CompTIA Security Plus SY0-701 certification guide, which is focused entirely on understanding indicators of malicious activity. Trust me, it's an absolutely crucial skill set for anyone looking to lock down modern networks.
So the million-dollar question we really need to answer today is, how do you actually spot a cyber attack before the damage is done? The reality here is that threats come in so many different shapes and sizes. And because of that, well, each one requires a very distinct approach to detect, prevent, and mitigate it. We can't just slap a one-size-fits-all alarm system on our network and call it a day. We have to know exactly what clues we're looking for.
To get us there, here is our investigator syllabus for today. First, we'll look at the digital crime scene, then anomalies and system resources, investigating the log files, known threat intelligence, and finally, building system resilience.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Section 1, the digital crime scene, looking for clues. Picture this. You log into a network environment and something just feels off. You aren't just looking around aimlessly, hoping to stumble on a hacker. You're hunting for a specific indicator of malicious activity. These are basically anomalies or weird clues in system behaviors that signal potential unauthorized access, malware, or an ongoing attack. Detecting these suspicious activities early on is exactly what empowers us to stop a minor breach from blowing up into a massive disaster. But here's the catch. You really have to know your normal baseline so you can actually spot when something's an anomaly.
Moving right along to Section 2, Anomalies in System Resources, Finding Disturbances.
When attackers hit your system resources, let me tell you, they usually aren't being subtle. These are your noisy disturbances. Just take a look at this comparison. On one hand, you have normal operations. Standard network traffic is flowing smoothly, files open the second you click them, servers are responding instantly. But on the other side, malicious activity. We're talking a sudden, massive spike in bandwidth that completely cripples the network, or files that were perfectly accessible a minute ago are suddenly throwing lockout errors. Spotting the difference between these two states? Well, that's your very first line of defense.
Let's break down the first type of resource anomaly, which is resource consumption. Now, when you see abnormal increases here, it's honestly like a blaring fire alarm. We're talking massive CPU spikes, totally unexplained memory drains, or sudden network bandwidth surges. It's basically like watching a server suddenly gasping for air. When your system resources are being devoured like this, it strongly indicates a malware infection or an ongoing attack, something like a distributed denial of service or DDoS attack. The required action here? Continuous monitoring, because catching these anomalies early allows for the timely intervention you need to actually keep your systems online.
Then we have the second type of resource anomaly, resource inaccessibility. This is when things go suspiciously quiet or completely dark. Essential files get locked, databases become totally unreachable, or vital network services just drop offline. Sudden inaccessibility like this? Yeah, that often points straight to a ransomware attack. Though, to be fair, it could also just be a hardware failure. Either way, swift investigation is absolutely crucial here to figure out the root cause and restore access before your business operations just completely grind to a halt.
Let's move to Section 3 and see how this builds. Investigating the log files, the stealthy trail.
So, if resource anomalies are the noisy fire alarms, log files are the quiet, stealthy paper trail. Notice this timeline of out-of-cycle logging. At 9 a.m., we see a normal user login. Cool. At 2 p.m., standard workday activity. But then bam, at 3 a.m., there's a massive, anomalous spike in access requests. Wait, what? Unexpected or irregular logging activities happening outside normal patterns like this can absolutely signal a potential intrusion or unauthorized access. Analyzing these logs and correlating them with other system activities is exactly how you connect the dots and pinpoint the threat.
But hey, what happens when the logs aren't irregular, but they're just gone? Well, that brings us to missing logs. The sudden disappearance or even just the alteration of log files might indicate an attacker's deliberate attempt to cover their tracks. It is literally the ultimate sneaky clue. They're trying to wipe their digital fingerprints right off the crime scene.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how our response to these log anomalies comes down to a really simple threat matrix. When an attacker's goal is to intrude outside normal hours, your action as a detective is to correlate that with other activities. But if their goal is to cover their tracks by deleting logs, your action requires strict integrity checks and regular monitoring. You have to make sure those logs are tamper-proof so you can actually detect and respond to that kind of manipulation.
All right, on to Section 4, Known Threat Intelligence, Publicly Shared Clues.
Here's the good news. We aren't the only detectives on this case. There is a whole world of published and documented indicators out there. Think of them as the wanted posters of the cybersecurity world. You really don't have to solve these crimes all by yourself. When a new malware strain hits or some new attack vector is discovered, cybersecurity pros all over the globe share the specific indicators. We're talking IP addresses, file hashes, behavioral clues. They share it all so the rest of us can defend our own networks.
Leveraging this community intelligence is actually a super straightforward 3-step process. First up, you gather those published indicators from the community. Second, you compare them directly against your own internal system behaviors. And third, you achieve early threat detection. By knowing exactly what a specific attack looks like before it even touches your network, you are vastly improving your chances of catching it the very second it tries to execute. It's a real game changer.
Which brings us to our final part, Section 5, Building System Resilience, Enhancing Safety.
So, we've gathered all our clues, right? From resource spikes to missing logs to published intel. Now, how do we actually tie the whole shebang together? Well, recognizing these indicators is really only half the battle. To enhance overall system resilience, you have to understand and constantly monitor the varied indicators we just talked about. But you've also got to combine those indicators with proactive security measures. And finally, you have to formulate an informed response strategy. Basically, it's not enough to just watch the alarm go off. You need a strategic, practiced plan for exactly what to do next to ensure the safety of your system.
So, the crucial point is this. Attackers are completely relying on you not paying attention to the details. But guess what? Now you have the investigator's playbook. Knowing these 5 clues, resource consumption, resource inaccessibility, out-of-cycle logging, missing logs, and documented indicators, I want to leave you with this one question. Are your systems hiding an ongoing attack in plain sight right now? Take these tools, go look at your own networks, and find out for sure. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.